Real footage of China's economic misery. Homeless young people sleep everywhere on the streets. Real footage of poor workers' lives in Beijing. Building tents to live under bridges. The miserable fate of China's working class. In the past, many large factories settled in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, creating numerous employment opportunities and making Shenzhen the third largest city after Beijing and Shanghai. However, Shenzhen's economic situation has worsened, with many people now sleeping on the streets and in front of the station. Official figures released by the Chinese Communist Party show that the number of newly registered unemployed residents in Shenzhen in the first quarter of this year increased by 40% year-on-year and 15% from the fourth quarter of last year. According to the South China Morning Post, this unemployment statistic may be incomplete, as many laid-off workers haven't been recorded or reported, meaning the official number may represent only a portion of the unemployed. Furthermore, the 2024 College Student Employment Research Report, released by the China Xi'an recruitment platform, shows that, as of mid-October, only 38% of graduates received informal employment notices. A survey by Guangdong University of Technology revealed an employment rate of just 41% for this year's graduates, meaning as many as 60% are unemployed. A recent viral video shows a large number of people, including children, sleeping in the square in front of Longhua bus station in Shenzhen, Guangdong. Chinese netizens believe most of these individuals came from rural areas seeking work, but with jobs scarce and no extra money for basic accommodations, they are forced to sleep on the streets, waiting for opportunities. Some netizens pointed out that this scene occurred as early as last year, and the tragic situation has worsened dramatically this year. Young people across China are sleeping on streets, in pipes, and underground passages. Even cinemas have become makeshift sleeping places. While youth are often associated with vigor and fashion, China's economic decline has left many young people sleeping on the streets due to job scarcity. In July 2024, many people slept in Longhua bus station square in Shenzhen. The video shows numerous individuals sleeping on the ground, with many young people sitting in the square playing on their phones. The video subtitles read, "This year's unemployment rate is higher than in previous years." In previous years, there weren't as many people wandering and sleeping on the streets. This year, sleeping on the ground can be seen everywhere in stations, parks, and squares. It's clear how difficult it is to find a job this year. Some netizens say it will get even harder in the future, with possibly no work at all. It's terrifying to think about. A netizen also posted a photo of a child sleeping near Longhua bus station, showing a young man sitting on the ground, sleeping on his arms. On June 29, 2024, a netizen named Truth Media posted on Twitter that, on June 25th, young people were sleeping under a bridge waiting for recruitment letters from factories. They mentioned that Jiangsu province is now full of stranded students, competing for hourly wages of just 13 to 14 yuan. The number of young people sleeping on the streets has risen in recent years as China's economy continues to decline. Many factories in Guangdong have closed, leading to widespread job losses and forcing people to live temporarily on the streets. According to incomplete statistics, unemployment, bankruptcy, and homelessness in major Chinese cities, such as Shanghai, Beijing, and Chongqing, are similar to what has been recorded in Shenzhen. Hundreds of major Japanese and Taiwanese corporations leave China over fears of being held hostage. Faced with growing threats from Beijing, Japanese, Taiwanese, and other companies are now accelerating their exit from China. On July 23rd, Japan's Nippon Steel announced that it would end its 20-year joint venture with China's Baosteel. The contract will expire at the end of August. Nippon Steel has found it difficult to expand its business in China and plans to shift investment to India and the United States. Nippon Steel also stated that it plans to sell all of its shares in the joint venture with China's Baosteel for $241 million, though the sale will require regulatory approval. During the joint venture, Nippon Steel sued China's Baosteel in a Japanese court in 2021, accusing the Chinese side of stealing Japanese patents on electroplated steel sheets, which China supplies to Toyota for electric vehicles. The case is still ongoing. This is a typical example of foreign companies rushing to withdraw from China. On July 12th, Japanese construction machinery manufacturer Kato Works announced the dissolution and liquidation of its subsidiary that produces and sells hydraulic excavators in Kunshan, Jiangsu. Construction machinery company Kato Nakajima also announced that it would liquidate in August to exit the Chinese market. This trend is spreading from the manufacturing sector to the beauty products sector, with high-end skincare brands such as Shiseido also announcing their withdrawal from the Chinese market. Shiseido's flagship stores in China have recently stopped accepting new orders and have begun to close. Another Japanese company, Bridgestone, has also announced its withdrawal after more than 20 years of operations in China. Bridgestone has ceased producing and selling commercial tires in China and will likely focus on high-performance passenger tires. According to public information, in the past year, most of the globally renowned companies leaving China have been Japanese. These include manufacturing plants of Canon, Sony, Toshiba, and Nikon. Other companies that have exited China include Amazon, LinkedIn, and the R&D center of Astellas Pharmaceuticals. These companies have moved their supply chains to Thailand, the Philippines, or back home. Taiwanese companies face threats from China and seek refuge in other ways. Faced with threats from the Beijing government, Taiwanese companies are now seeking refuge in various ways. French media have expressed concern that China's hegemonic ambitions toward Taiwan have made Taiwan's leading technology companies worry about the worst-case scenarios. As a result, some companies are considering setting up a second headquarters outside Taiwan. Taiwanese companies have long outsourced a large part of their production. Foxconn, the world's leading computer equipment manufacturer and a subcontractor for Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft, focuses most of its business in China, but also operates in Europe, Brazil, and Mexico. TSMC, a semiconductor giant that manufactures for companies such as Nvidia and Apple, has just announced the construction of a second factory in Arizona, USA, with an investment of more than $65 billion, including $6.6 billion in subsidies from the U.S. government. Singapore and the Netherlands are priority locations for Taiwan's semiconductor IC industry to expand its factories. The trend of foreign capital withdrawal from China has been a hot topic since 2023. Earlier this year, global asset management firm Knight Frank analyzed that this trend is still ongoing. To calm public opinion, China's Ministry of Commerce stated that the inflow and outflow of foreign capital are in line with market rules, and that the narrative of foreign companies fleeing has been exaggerated and incited by external forces. Xinhua News Agency, the media outlet of the Chinese Communist Party, even criticized foreign companies for being foolish. Xinhua propaganda asserted that the best investment opportunities in the future still lie in China, and that leaving China would only mean missing out on these opportunities. A commentator noted that the deteriorating business environment in China is driving foreign capital to leave, with many foreign companies moving to Southeast Asia, India, and even returning to their home countries, such as the United States, Japan, and South Korea. These companies come to China to do business and make money, not to engage in charity work. A netizen named Trin Tai Rose suggested that foreign companies are reluctant to leave China because of its well-established supply chain and cheap labor force. However, in the past 3 to 5 years, not only have the remaining 100 Japanese companies left, but also other companies from Taiwan, Korea, the US, Germany, the UK, and even some Chinese enterprises have withdrawn from China. Japanese camera giant Nikon shut down its subsidiary Nikon Imaging in China. The world's largest hard drive maker Seagate closed its factory in Suzhou. Suzuki withdrew all shares from 2 subsidiaries in China. Nitto Denko Group closed its Suzhou factory and withdrew from China. Apple assemblers plan to move production lines to Taiwan or Southeast Asia. In 2019, South Korea's Samsung Electronics closed its factory in Huizhou, ending phone production in China and shifting to India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries. Japanese office equipment company Ricoh moved its photocopier production lines to Thailand. KF sold its China business to SNH. In 2020, British supermarket chain Tesco announced that it would completely withdraw from the Chinese market. Dutch company Philips sold its home appliance business to Hill House Capital and exited the home appliance market in China. American clothing retailer Old Navy announced its withdrawal from the Chinese market and closed all its physical and online stores in the country. In 2021, Yahoo stopped providing products and services in China. Toshiba closed its last factory in Dalian. Japanese electronics manufacturer Oki ceased its printer and copier manufacturing operations in China. In 2022, Canon closed its factory in Zhuhai, moving production lines to Japan. South Korea's Lotte Group closed its last department store in China, dissolved its headquarters in China, and increased investment in Southeast Asia. Apple announced that iPhones would be assembled and manufactured in an Indian factory. In 2023, Sony moved its main factory to Thailand. Citibank left China. Supermarket group Carrefour left China. U.S. asset management giant Vanguard and performance consulting firm Gallup announced they would close their operations in China and leave the country. The top leaders of the Chinese Communist Party have successively announced a so-called economic rescue plan, and the Politburo held an economic meeting in September, which is an unusual occurrence. However, some analysts say that while the Chinese economy may respond quickly, China is not far from becoming another Zimbabwe. In addition to the central bank's announcement of interest rate cuts, reductions in the reserve requirement ratio, and printing money to boost the stock market, the Chinese Communist Party also announced plans to distribute red envelopes to low-income individuals. On the 26th, Reuters revealed that the Ministry of Finance of the Chinese Communist Party will issue bonds worth 2 trillion yuan, part of which will be used to subsidize old-for-new exchanges. Another portion will be allocated to families with 2 or more children, providing 800 yuan per child per month, as well as assisting local governments with debt relief. The Chinese Communist Party also plans to gradually increase financial support for small and medium-sized enterprises. In short, the Chinese Communist Party is attempting to plug various holes in the economy simultaneously. The reason for this is quite clear. At the Politburo's economic meeting on September 26th, party leader Xi Jinping unusually admitted that new situations and problems have emerged in China's economy. The self-media outlet Financial Truth commented on social media that the CCP violated normal procedures by holding an economic meeting in September for the first time, and by giving direct financial aid to the poor for the first time. This shows that the Chinese economy has reached an extremely dangerous point. At the very least, those in Beijing feel that the safety of the nation is at risk. The collapse of the Chinese economy has opened the possibility for social unrest, which could shake the CCP's rule. On the 26th, Li Chengpeng wrote that Chinese people once knelt to the government in groups, then jumped off buildings and bridges in groups, and now it has become common to kill officials. This reflects a transition from belief in a better future to despair, where one life is exchanged for another, a symbol of the times. Li Chengpeng compared it to the tragic Jiangnan slave rebellion in the late Ming dynasty, when servants in Jiangnan, the richest region, suddenly rose up and killed the wealthy and powerful. Notable figures like Dong Qichang, Xu Xiake, and Gu Yanwu all suffered as a result, and soon after, Emperor Chongzhen hanged himself at Coal Hill. Regarding Beijing's economic rescue efforts, Li Chengpeng remarked that only a normal economic system has an economic cycle, and prescribing the right remedy is what constitutes a real rescue plan. Now, experts say that solving China's economic problems is like a medicine vendor saying, you catch a flea, pry open its mouth, administer the medicine, and the disease will be cured. News Investigation commented that the main strategy of these economic rescue policies is to print money. First, the central bank announced that it would print money to save the stock market. The Politburo then held a meeting, encouraging the financial sector to spend more on infrastructure, ensure the delivery of housing projects, and support bankrupt real estate companies. If money runs out, the central bank will print more. This essentially reverts the central bank and the finance department, which were separated in 1994, to the model where the government can print money at will. This is alarming. It's like they're preparing to set off a grand firework at the end, turning China into another Zimbabwe. News Investigation predicted that within a year, hyperinflation will hit, and another large economic cycle will begin. I feel sad for the people at the bottom, but there's no other option. Those who can leave the country will do so urgently, stockpiling US dollars, gold, and food to prepare for the coldest and longest winter. New situation in China's economy. The Politburo holds rare meeting as Xi Jinping acknowledges challenges. The meeting was chaired by Xi Jinping, leader of the Communist Party of China. During the meeting, it was acknowledged that new situations and new problems have emerged in China's economy, and the call was made to face difficulties and strengthen confidence. Some economists noted that the phrase, new situations and new problems, indicates that time is pressing, and the tasks ahead are formidable. The Politburo of the Communist Party of China, composed of 24 members, is considered the second most powerful body within the party. The meeting recognized that challenges have arisen in China's economy, stressing the need to face difficulties and strengthen confidence, and to work hard to complete the annual economic and social development goals and tasks. In addition to pledging to meet the year's economic targets, the meeting also vowed to prevent further declines in the real estate market. Bloomberg reported that this seems to be the strongest commitment yet to halt the real estate market's free fall and attempt to stabilize prices. The briefing of the meeting, as published by the Communist Party's official media, stated that efforts must be made to stop the decline in the real estate market and stimulate a stable recovery, while also calling for measures to address the concerns of the public. The second highest authority in the Communist Party emphasized that the government would strictly control the addition of new housing projects and focus on completing unfinished ones as part of an effort to ease the housing oversupply. Bruce Pang, chief economist for Greater China at JLL, remarked, "The stimulus plan approved by the Politburo today represents a strategic shift in macroeconomic policy, moving from scattered policies to a more balanced and coordinated plan." He added that the mention of new situations and problems shows that time is tight and the task is arduous. It is noteworthy that the Politburo typically discusses the current economic situation during meetings held in April, July, and December. According to official documents, the last time such a meeting occurred outside these months was in March 2020, when China was dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Over the past 4 years, September meetings have primarily focused on internal party discipline or organizational matters. Therefore, media outlets have found it unexpected and rare for the Politburo to convene in September to discuss economic issues. Real footage of poor workers' lives in Beijing. Are urban villages in Beijing really slums? Is this a slum? Absolutely. Do you think this is a slum? No, it's no poorer than this. Today I came to Changping District, Beijing, specifically to Yuxinzhuang Village in Shahe Town. This is an urban village with more than 70,000 Beidiao people. Many young people live here, fighting hard and trying to survive, but there is no guarantee that, in the future, they will have shelter. However, this will not stop them from drifting north in the slightest. In this video, I will explore aspects such as food, clothing, rented housing, and transportation to fully showcase the real situation of the village in the city, allowing everyone to better understand what an urban village is like during Beijing's 2024 graduation season. Yuxinzhuang, a famous urban village in Changping District, is located on the north bank of the Beisha River. Compared with Haidian District and Chaoyang District, where house prices are 60,000 yuan per square meter, here, with just over 1,000 yen, you can rent a place equipped with a washing machine, refrigerator, and air conditioner. There are even single apartments with separate bathrooms, and the village is less than 1 kilometer away from Shahe subway station. These unique conditions make Yuxinzhuang the first stop for many who choose to drift north. A resident of the urban village evaluated life here. This place in Beijing can still offer 3 oysters for 12 yuan. Is this a slum? Absolutely. Do you think this is still a slum? No, it's no poorer than this. Here, life is convenient. Food, clothing, housing, transportation, even medical needs and daily necessities. You can find it all here. It's like a small society independent of Beijing. With more than 70,000 residents, Yuxinzhuang is a vibrant and self-contained community. If I were to describe my first impression of the urban village, it would be delicious. This is definitely a foodie's paradise, with snacks from all corners of the country readily available. On the day I shot the video, I enjoyed BBQ and stinky tofu, which tasted as good as those served in high-rent shops. If I have the chance, I would come back to eat here again and again. What do people wear in the urban village? After talking about eating, let's see what people wear. Although online shopping is very popular and already the main channel for buying clothes, there are still clothing stores here. Brands like Anta, Red Star, Urka, Adidas, Nike, and Hailan Home have set up shops. However, the number of shops is few. After all, when it comes to clothing, physical stores cannot compete with online shopping. How much is the rent and cost of living in the urban village? It's time for the part that everyone cares about the most. It is impossible to live in an urban village and buy a house. The land here is collectively owned and is not for sale, so renting is the only option. I consulted with 2 landlords about studio apartment rental prices and followed a young lady to see a few suites to get a feel for the rental prices and living costs. The cost of renting includes house rental prices, as well as water, electricity, broadband, sanitation, and winter heating costs. Water costs 8 yuan per ton, electricity costs 1.5 yuan per unit. Sanitation fees are 20 yuan per person per month, broadband costs 100 yuan per month, and winter heating costs 400 yuan per month. Is it convenient to travel around the urban village? Yuxinzhuang, an urban village that gathers so many people, owes its popularity primarily to the subway. Less than 1 kilometer from Yuxinzhuang is Shahe Station on the Changping Line, which connects Changping County to Beijing's Haidian and Changping districts, 2 of Beijing's most important subway lines. Haidian and Changping are also the 2 regions in Beijing with the largest concentration of internet companies. Most of the young people who have just arrived in Beidiao work for internet companies. Naturally, Yuxinzhuang village has become the first choice for these young professionals to live. Every day at 5 p.m., they come out of the subway, forming a steady stream of people returning to the village, which continues until 9 or 10 p.m. Summary of life in the urban village. The village in the city is just as the landlord here described. Every year, newcomers arrive, but only a few manage to stay. Even though some people label the village a slum, it acts like a whirlpool, attracting countless people from the north to settle here. At 5 o'clock in the morning, cleaning ladies set off for the 3rd Ring Road. At 9 o'clock a.m., young people who aspire to change the world go to work and often leave at 9 o'clock p.m. At night, small vendors set up stalls, busy until midnight. People from various industries live here, working tirelessly to chase their dreams. Are urban villages slums? To the residents, it doesn't matter. Affordable shops with everything they need and convenient transportation are reasons they can't refuse to live here. The world may be harsh and the years unforgiving, but the increasing migrant population and the reduced pace of urban village renovations reflect how these spaces are vital. Although this city may not always welcome dream chasers, urban villages remain havens for those striving to shine. Life demands people to become their own masters. Under the CCP regime, if you don't work hard and strive, you won't have anything to eat, let alone realize your dreams. In this so-called socialist paradise, you hardly get any benefits or help in life. On the contrary, you have to pay taxes on almost every item you use, so the path of the migrant working class is to work without days off, without a retirement age. You will have to work all your life until you die. Street view of the urban village's Central Street. On the bustling Central Street, I met a guy selling grilled oysters. "Give me 3, I said. The price was shockingly low, just 12 yuan for 3 oysters. I asked, "Aren't barbecue shops usually more expensive, over 10 yuan each?" The vendor explained it was all fresh stock from the same day. He even offered takeaway options. Behind his stall, he had his own table where customers could sit and eat. The street was lively with people. I hadn't realized how many were out tonight. Despite the low prices, the vendor managed to make a living, collecting payments through WeChat. Thank you for watching the video. Producing such content is not easy, but if it helped you, I promise to bring even better videos in the future. See you next time. Unable to retire to survive, migrant workers work until they can no longer work. Guan Junling, 53, is too old to be employed by factories anymore. But for migrant workers like her, retirement is not an option. For decades, migrant workers have come from rural areas to cities in search of work, working in sweatshops and building apartment buildings they can never afford, making important contributions to China's transformation into an economic powerhouse, the Associated Press reported. As they age, the first generation of migrant workers finds it difficult to find work in a slowing economy. But many are financially strapped, with meager or almost no pensions, and have to continue working. There is no such thing as retirement or pension for rural populations. You can only rely on yourself and work hard, Guan Junling said. When can you stop working? Really, until you have to lie in bed and can't do anything. China has 3 types of pension systems: civil servants, enterprise employees, and urban and rural residents, covering farmers. Civil servants have the highest pensions, enterprise employees the second, and urban and rural residents the lowest. The CCP's pension system lacks support for the rapidly aging migrant workers. Although China's first generation of migrant workers has now reached retirement age, many of them are still engaged in intensive labor because their rural hukou excludes them from better retirement benefits than urban wage earners, resulting in insufficient social security payments, averaging between 100 yuan, less than $14, and 200 yuan, about $28, per month. The lack of adequate pension support in rural areas has greatly delayed the retirement of migrant workers. The first generation of migrant workers refers to those born in the 1970s or earlier. By 2022, the most recent year for which data is available, about 85 million of them will be over 50, accounting for 29% of all migrant workers, up from 15% a decade ago. With limited or no pensions and health insurance, they need to continue working. Guan Junling now works as a housekeeper, cleaning rooms, and needs to work long hours to save a little money for emergencies. If Guan Junling needs to go to a hospital in Beijing for treatment, she has to pay out of pocket. Xi'an, a scholar of rural sociology in China, presented her research in a speech last year. She said that in a questionnaire survey of 2,500 first-generation migrant workers conducted between 2018 and 2022, about 75% said they would still work after the age of 60. Older migrant workers are hit by multiple blows. Older workers are hit by multiple blows, including age, education level, and economic weakness. Construction jobs have dried up due to the sluggish real estate market, while factory jobs have dried up due to automation and economic slowdown. Age discrimination is common, so jobs often go to young people. For older migrant workers, there are simply no positions, said Zhang Chenggang, an associate professor at the Capital University of Economics and Business in Beijing. The problem now is that no matter how low the salary is, as long as someone pays you, you will take the job, he said. Some recruiters contacted by the Associated Press said older workers are not effective in the workplace or have underlying diseases. Many are turning to temporary work. On a cold winter day late last year, Zhang Ziqing looked for work at a large outdoor labor market on the outskirts of Beijing. He said he lost a job delivering packages about 3 years ago when he was 55 because of his age. In December, he was installing cables at a construction site, earning 260 yuan, about $35, a day. Guan Junling worked on a garment factory assembly line until she was fired in her 40s. She then worked various jobs in different cities and came to Beijing in 2018. She works 7 days a week, in part because she worries that if she refuses to work, the labor agency will stop calling. During the Chinese New Year holiday in February, she did not go home to visit her family, staying in Beijing to take care of an elderly woman because the woman needed care and she needed money. People either want educated people or they want young people, and I don't meet both requirements, Guan said. She dropped out of middle school because her parents only had enough money to educate their son. But then I thought, no matter what others think of me, I have to survive, she said. Guan worries that it will be harder to find a job at 55. The retirement age for Chinese women is 50 or 55, depending on the company and the type of job. For men, it's 60. Building tents to live under bridges, the miserable fate of China's working class. Some food delivery guys and workers in Guangzhou set up tents and lived under bridges to save rent. After the media reported on their homelessness, they were evicted by the authorities. Bridges in major cities such as Shanghai were also cleared at the same time. On December 23rd, several mainland media outlets reported that some food delivery workers and laborers in Guangzhou set up tents and lived under bridges to save rent, drawing public attention. On the 25th, bridges in cities like Guangzhou and Shanghai were cleared at the same time. Shanghai bridge dwellers. Living under bridges is not allowed. There is nowhere to stay. Now I am wandering alone on the street. Where can I go? An unemployed young man named Li Xi'an recently lived under a bridge in Guangzhou. He shared that many unemployed youth burdened with debts or earning meager incomes also live under bridges to save money. Many lack tents, quilts, food, and clothing. Li Xi'an, a resident of a Guangzhou bridge hole. Around 100 people live in this bridge hole. Some face immense financial pressure, including delivery drivers, couriers, street vendors, and live stream anchors who cannot afford rent. Rent in Guangzhou is over 1,000 yuan, while their income is just over 3,000 yuan, allowing them to save 10,000 yuan a year by living here. Some stay in parks or McDonald's instead of bridge holes, avoiding property fees, management fees, and utility costs. If you film this, your account will surely get blocked. Xiao Chen, an unemployed youth in Guangzhou, said he moved to Guangzhou as a teenager to work. Now unemployed and living on the streets, he feels insecure and struggles to find food. He also fears being evicted or arrested. Xiao Chen, an unemployed youth in Guangzhou, said, "I sleep in parks, internet cafes, and on the streets. I don't have a job and nowhere to go. I can't make money. Working hard feels pointless. I'm physically and mentally drained. The money I earn isn't enough for medicine. There are too many homeless people in China, including disabled individuals, who get arrested. They have no one to depend on, and no one cares about them." An unemployed youth, using the pseudonym Xiao Shu, shared that numerous factories in Kunshan have shut down. Workers unwilling to leave resort to odd jobs, but such opportunities are fewer this year, and daily wages have dropped to 130 yuan. Living under a bridge leaves them hungry and cold. Xiao Shu, an unemployed youth in Kunshan, said, "Now we all live in a bridge hole, about 20 people together. The weather is freezing and we can't bear it. We have tents, but too few quilts and clothes. There is no work. I am homeless. I've been unemployed for 3 years and can't find a job. No one will hire me. I want to deliver food, but I don't have an electric bike. I'm too poor to buy one." Mainland China is facing a massive wave of unemployment, with more than 800 million Chinese people, burdened with debt. China's economy is plummeting. Unemployment, bankruptcies, and unpaid wages are rampant as the year ends. Local governments are overwhelmed by huge debts. Big cities like Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Tianjin are filled with homeless people sleeping on the streets at night. If you walk through China's once magnificent major cities at night, it is easy to see unemployed workers sleeping in rows on the streets, bus stations, and subway stations. Many families, with parents unemployed and unable to afford living expenses, are forced to sleep on the streets. Numerous single mothers with small children are living homeless at train stations, creating scenes never before witnessed in China. Not only are immigrant workers and the unskilled working class affected, but even highly skilled technical workers and office workers are experiencing widespread unemployment. More than 800 million Chinese people are in debt from credit loans, encompassing home, auto, and consumer loans. There are countless complaints about layoffs, unemployment, and the inability to find jobs. People are struggling with the pressures of mortgages, car loans, children's education, and parents' retirement, with no clear path forward. The disappearance of the mainland's internet-famous cities. The term Internet Celebrity City was once very popular in the mainland. In 2024, many cities that once gained fame on the internet have gradually disappeared from public view. New internet celebrity cities have also failed to emerge. Their decline raises questions. What exactly is preventing these cities from sustaining their internet celebrity appeal? In recent years, some internet celebrity cities have gained public attention. For example, in 2023, Zibo, Shandong, became popular on the internet because of its barbecue, earning the title of the Internet Celebrity City of the Year. Harbin, Heilongjiang, attracted many tourists with winter tourism resources such as the Ice and Snow Festival. Tianshui, Gansu, gained fame due to a bowl of spicy hot pot. A large number of travel guides and social media recommendations made these cities popular overnight, attracting millions of tourists. Internet-famous cities have cooled down and are gradually fading away since 2024. However, these hotspots have a limited lifespan, and as the novelty fades, both tourist numbers and popularity decline. The official media, China Newsweek, reported on July 5, 2023, that during that period, hundreds of Zibo barbecue shops were listed for transfer on the 58.com website. Many of these shops had been newly opened, recently renovated, and equipped with new equipment. A local industry insider in Zibo explained that the main reason for most of the store transfers was the lack of business and substantial financial losses. At the time, transferring ownership allowed business owners to stop losses in time and recover some costs before the Zibo barbecue market completely cooled down. The decline in the popularity of Zibo barbecue had a significant impact, especially on stores that had recently entered the barbecue industry. Re-examining various tourism data from 2023 reveals that internet celebrity cities faced a sharp drop in popularity. During the 2024 National Day holiday, Harbin's tourism performance was noticeably lackluster compared to the May Day holiday. In the first quarter of 2024, Harbin's actual GDP growth rate was only 3.7%, lagging behind cities such as Dalian, Shenyang, and Changchun. Additionally, the economic conversion rate of internet celebrity cities remains low. For instance, Zibo's GDP growth rate in the first quarter of 2024 was 4.5%, while its nominal growth rate was 2.67%, both ranking last in the province and below the average level of Shandong province. This indicates that while online popularity brought short-term growth in tourism, its impact on driving the overall economy was limited. Tianshui's growth in the first quarter of 2024 was 4.3% year-on-year, lower than Gansu province's average level of 5.9%. Hezi, Shandong, briefly gained fame for the railway station square in the Dancing Demons video, but quickly faded into obscurity. Similarly, Kaifeng, Henan, once attracted many tourists due to Wang Po matchmaking. But as its popularity waned, it also faded out of public view. During the National Day holiday in 2024, according to media statistics, newly popular cultural and tourism cities since 2023, such as Guangdong-Jiangmen, Zibo, Guizhou-Rongjiang, Harbin, Kaifeng, and Tianshui, collectively disappeared from major tourism platform rankings. No new internet celebrity cities emerged to sustain the trend. The emergence of internet celebrity cities often depends on accidental events and local government initiatives. However, statistical data reveal a slowing trend in tourist numbers and consumption in many internet celebrity cities, failing to sustain their popularity without province-wide support. What is more concerning is the store closure wave in some cities, with accompanying losses from popular shop leasing, which has exacerbated economic pressure on these cities.